from vaccinations, those folks have antibodies, so the virus must mutate around pressure. It's the same idea as if you take an antibiotic for something, right? And if you keep taking it, what happens? The bacteria becomes resistant to the antibiotic.
Right.
It's the same thing. The virus, once you start putting up these walls of these vaccinations and antibodies for them, they mutate around it. And that's what's going to happen. It's never going to go away. That's just how viruses work. That's how they always work. So the next slide is the CDC just recently changed, and you're going to see this a lot, the definition of a vaccine. Okay?
Wow.
So a vaccine has always been a product that produces immunity, which means that you're immune means you can't get it. It's a product, when you get MMR, measles, mumps, rubella, polio, if you respond, if you develop antibodies, not everybody does. Not everybody that gets vaccinated with a standard vaccine becomes immunized, but the majority do. Those that become immunized are not susceptible to that virus. That's how that works. So they've been calling this a vaccine, even though it's not a vaccine. So they changed the definition from a product that produces immunity to a preparation that stimulates an immune response for protection. So I can tell you just about 1,000 things that stimulate an immune response in your body that have nothing to do with vaccination or immunity.
Wow.
So they had to change the definition. And the other thing that I'm sure a lot of people have wondered is, why is it that if you had the infection and you got sick or for a while and you tested positive and you recovered, you have natural immunity. You have God-given antibodies and T cells, killer T cells, CD4, CD8. You got all sorts of cells in your immune system that are now ready. Memory T cells, they'll remember this. You see that again, your body's amazing. Nobody did design this. It sends out the artillery from deep inside your immune system, sends out the artillery to attack you. So they don't count that. So I guess anybody that's interested, why has it been that natural immunity is completely discarded as viable? Why? Because that's the best immunity that there is. Why is that discounted? In the military, they ordered all the boys and girls to get the shot, even if they had it. It said natural immunity does not count.
Wow.
Okay? So why doesn't it count? The World Health Organization changed their definition of herd immunity since COVID-19 started. It used to be either through natural infection and immunity or through vaccination you can develop in a community herd immunity. They removed natural immunity from the definition. The question is why? Why? So the next slide is just a little video that I want to play.
Everybody's favorite, Dr. Fauci, saying it's plain as day. Plain as day. Take a look at this. Okay. Now that we have a Delta variant, that has changed the entire landscape. Because when you look at the level of virus in the nasopharynx of a vaccinated person who gets a breakthrough infection with Delta, it is exactly the same as the level of virus in an unvaccinated person who's infected. That's the problem. So those data were very compelling, and that triggered the change in the CDC guideline.
I don't know if everybody caught that. People that are, and the people, I've got a video of a guy that got fully vaccinated. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be upset that they got lied to.
Wow.
I mean, the people here are not upset with anybody that decided to get a vaccine because that's what they thought was the best thing to do. But the bottom line is, when those folks figure out, and they're figuring it out, that they got lied to, and they can get this virus, and it can be lethal, they can get it even worse, and they can transmit it as much or more than an unvaccinated person that has this virus, they're really going to be unhappy. But there's Dr. Fauci. The next video.
Blow your mind. Check it out.
Here's the new science that we saw just in the last several days. With prior variants, when people had these rare breakthrough infections, we didn't see the capacity of them to spread the virus to others. But with the Delta variant, we now see in our outbreak investigations that have been occurring over the last couple of weeks, in those outbreak investigations, we have been seeing that if you happen to have one of those breakthrough infections, that you can actually now pass it to somebody else. We thought that was really important for people to know and understand, because when people are out there vaccinated thinking that even if they get mild illness, they can't give it to someone else, if they're then going to a loved one who's immunocompromised, who isn't yet vaccinated or couldn't yet be vaccinated, we wanted them to take the protection to protect others. So that was the new science that prompted the guidance, and it was not. It weighed heavily. I know that This is not a message America wants to hear.
The reason I was asking is because just yesterday you also put out, the CDC did a new science brief which contained this sentence. These findings, along with the early evidence for reduced viral load in vaccinated people who develop COVID-19, suggest that any associated transmission risk is likely to be substantially reduced in vaccinated people. So even though that brief came out just yesterday, you're saying that's no longer operative.
It's no longer operative.
So that's no longer operative. That's Dr. Walensky. He's the head of the CDC. The other's Anthony Fauci. He's the head of the NIH department. NIAID. Next slide, Shane. This is an actor who is just figuring out that it's not what he was told.
Take a look. I just watched Tony Fauci, CNN, and Fox tell me that people with the vaccine, vaccinated people, are now spreading the coronavirus. A couple of weeks ago, a couple of days ago, I was saying, yes, I'm vaccinated. Yay, little sticker. Yay, I'm vaccinated. Be a hero. Be vaccinated. I went from being a hero because I'm vaccinated, and now you motherfuckers are calling me super spreader.
Wow.
Super spreader. Figure this shit out.
So, except for the colorful language, he's not a happy man. In fact, in a later video, he said he's going to start the fully vaccinated anti-vaxxer group. Because it takes time. You don't expect these people to lie to you. But that's what they've done, and that's what they continue to do. This is from New South Wales, Australia. Australia is the place where the trial balloon, where they're going all out, and this is what they want to achieve in the United States of America. This is an announcement, an official announcement regarding people in the hospital in New South Wales.
141 people are in hospital with COVID at present, and 43 are in intensive care, 18 of whom require ventilation. So this is a very serious disease. Of those 141, 60 are under the age of 55 and 28 under the age of 35. And of the 43 people in intensive care, one is in their teens, 7 are in their 20s, 3 are in their 30s, 14 are in their 50s, and 12 are in their 60s, and 6 are in their 70s. So this is affecting people of all ages with very serious disease. All but one are vaccinated. One person has just received one dose of vaccine. All but one are vaccinated. One.
All but one are fully vaccinated. In the population of the folks very sick in the hospital, if you were able to understand it, was dramatically lower than you would see with a COVID infection in someone that didn't get the vaccine. This affected seriously people in their teens, 20s, 30s. Typically, those folks, very, very rare. 12 and under, even 16, 12 and under is 1 in a million mortality. It's substantially less than influenza A and B. It's less for young kids, 12 and under. There's risk for any virus. I mean, you can get a pneumonia, you can get sick, you can die. There's not any question about it. It's a nasty thing. But everything should be risk-benefit ratio and probabilities. So this is the main Oxford virologist from the United Kingdom. He is the man that works with the World Health Organization on behalf of the United Kingdom. He's all in. This is his thing. He is the he's one of the top guys in Britain and the United Kingdom. What's he have to say about this?
I think we are in a situation here with this current variant where herd immunity is not a possibility because it still infects vaccinated individuals. And I suspect that what the virus will throw up next is a variant which is perhaps even better at transmitting in vaccinated populations. And so that's even more of a reason not to be making a vaccine program around herd immunity. I don't think there's anything the UK can do to stop the emergence of new variants. They're going to happen. And if anything, we need to focus now not on what might stop new variants, because I don't think we have any facility to control that. We need to focus on thinking about how do we prevent people dying or going to hospital.
So, to summarize, there's no chance to get the worshipped herd immunity that everybody tosses around, because this jab doesn't produce immunity. And on top of that, there's going to be too many variants that are continually formed. So the man himself says, it's not going to happen, just need to let it go. Denmark, the country, just last week said, we're letting it go. We're not doing anything. Right? So, and because they realize the truth. The next, I just found this enjoyable.
The vaccine? No. Why didn't you get it? What if you catch COVID? The vaccine doesn't stop you from catching COVID. Why are you being so selfish? What if you catch it and give it to me? But you've been vaccinated. Yeah, but you can still give it to me. What's the vaccine for then? It'll stop you from getting really sick and dying if you catch it. So if I catch it and give it to you, but you've already had the vaccine, it'll still stop you from getting really sick and dying. Exactly. That's why you should get it. That's why I should get it? But you got it already. But if you catch it, you could get sick and die. So by not getting the vaccine, the only person I'm putting at risk is myself of getting sick and dying? No, you're putting me at risk. You already get the vaccine, so you won't get sick and die, even if I gave it to you? But you could give it to someone who can't be vaccinated. But so could someone who's been vaccinated, because the vaccine doesn't stop you from getting COVID.
When you actually try to get down to the facts, it becomes extremely circular, and it actually makes no sense to make us think that we're off. I mean, we're not off. We're just not off. I'm just telling you right now. That is the fact. You get it. You're fully vaccinated. That's your choice. That's great. But you still can get it. You can spread it just as easily. It's being spread all over the world. This is the slide you're not going to be able to see well, but the top line bar graph represents deaths per million. The top line is Israel. Israel is generally 6 to 9 months ahead of us. They got on the Pfizer bandwagon early. They basically mandated their country to get this. They're probably about 85% vaccinated. Maybe 90. They're way vaccinated. The only one I know more is Gibraltar. If anybody knows where Gibraltar, they're 100%. They have 33,500 people. They're like 99.99%. Gibraltar's already had major outbreaks in Delta variant COVID. Okay, so this is Israel's deaths per million, and that's Sweden's deaths per million. And this is data since Delta virus. Like Fauci said, the Delta virus changes the whole thing. This jab was not made with epitopes and mRNA against the Delta virus. It was made against the Alpha, the initial virus. The Delta virus is even less protective against that strain of virus. Sweden just announced that they are not going to let anyone from Israel in.
Wow.
They're not letting them in, but they're one of the most vaccinated nations in the world. The percentage that you have vaccinated is not going to correspond to the percentage of people that get COVID, nor the number of people that die from COVID, because these are deaths. These are not just cases, positives, these are deaths. Next slide. This was just published in the New England Journal of Medicine last week. Again, you're not going to be able to see this, but the idea, the top is fully vaccinated, the bottom is unvaccinated. These are healthcare workers at UC San Diego. And it's not that the vaccinated people get more infection than the unvaccinated. That's not what that graph shows. What the purpose of that graph that I'm showing is that both vaccinated and unvaccinated people get infection with the Delta variant of SARS-CoV-2. Now, the percentage that get infected with SARS-CoV-2 in a community depends on the prevalence of the vaccination rate in the community. Our community, just so you guys, everybody knows, around here in Lima area, we're about 35% have gotten fully vaccinated. I don't even like to use the word, but it's jammed. Okay, so 35% have been fully inoculated with the jab. That means 65% haven't. Okay, so when we look at our local hospitals as this winter unfolds, I would expect to see, I don't know, but I would expect to see the majority of people being unvaccinated, because that's the majority of people that are in the community. But what I'm also expecting to see is people that got fully vaccinated also to get COVID and to get very sick and to be in the hospital at a rate that's similar to the population. So in Israel, when they have 85% vaccinated, that means when you look at the data, 80% of the people in the hospital in Israel are fully vaccinated, because that's the prevalence of the vaccine in the community. The next slide shows, now they're given the third dose. The third dose, there will be, just so there's no misunderstanding, a lot of people will also be upset when they learn that it's not a 1 or 2 dose deal. It was 2 weeks, wasn't it? 2 weeks, flatten the curve. Okay, you're talking a couple of years. So it's not 2 doses, and I can guarantee you it won't be 3. It won't be 4. It won't be 5. The UK Vax card has 6 slots on it right now. I don't know how many it'll be. It'll be as many as whoever has the power to stick a needle into the arm of a person. And as long as they want to keep getting a quote booster, they'll get it. And if they're going to keep pushing it. So as of September the 1st, Israel does not count you as fully vaccinated if you have 2 jabs. You have to have 3 jabs, or you're not fully vaccinated. you can't do what you thought you were going to do. I'm going to fly. I'm going to have all this freedom. I'm going to do all this stuff. They're never going to give it back. It's never going to come back. It goes, it's gone. There'll be a third one. So the people that get 3 are now going to turn on the people that get 2. You need to get that third one. And then it'll be 4. There's no question. Then it'll be 5. There's no question. It's absolute. It's going to happen. The next slide is, the vaccine is really not the important piece. It's the vaccine passport. Okay, the Vax Pass. This is what they want. This is the goal of the program. I mean, I'm not trying to be like a little weird, but it's really not about the vaccine. It's not about these shots. These shots aren't good. They're not, they put a license on it, but it didn't go through any of the, there was no public comments. The FDA always has public comments, always has time to discuss with other physicians. They didn't do anything. So this is going to move, the pass is going to move from paper to the QR code, to biometric monitoring, and that's what's going to happen. Okay? Right now in the U.S. it's paper. UK it's on QR, it's on your phone. Australia it's going to be on your phone within weeks, and that's how it's coming. And it's not about public safety. It's not about safety. If it's about safety, then you have to ask yourself questions. You have to deeply employ your brain, like, well, why don't they count natural immunity? And why is it that I have to force a vaccine on somebody to make somebody that's already vaccinated safe against somebody that's not vaccinated? If the vaccine works, they should be good. But if it doesn't work, then why do I need to force it on these people? Because it doesn't work. So you have to start thinking, and I would encourage anyone that's got 1, got the Pfizer, got 2, got the J&J, to start thinking about that. Why? It's not working. So most of the time, like normal people, if something doesn't work, you just say, well, it didn't work. And it's a virus. They've been around for thousands of years. So it didn't work. We did our best. We're just going to have to move on like them are. But that's not what they're going to do, because it's not about the vaccine. It's about the vaccine passport. The next is Justin Trudeau. He is the Prime Minister of Canada, and he looks like he's almost old enough to shave. Let's watch the clip.
Get vaccinated, that's your choice. But don't think you can get on a plane or a train beside vaccinated people and put them at risk. We need to be...
So he's pretty fired up. He must not have got the memo from Dr. Fauci and Dr. Walensky that fully vaccinated people transmit at the same rate as the unvaccinated. He must not have got the memo, because otherwise, why are you worried about unvaccinated people that are asymptomatic? The next slide shows this is a QR from the UK vaccine passport. They're all coming. Illinois, in our country, is going to go with forced mandates. They're talking to Samsung. Samsung already has out their QR app for their phone for the vaccine mandates. And there's a company that I'm sure a lot of people have heard of. It's called Experian. Experian is a credit company. They check your financial credit score, your FICO score, and your credit score. And Experian is in good discussions with Illinois about being the data center, collecting all the data with regard to not just your, quote, vaccine passport. Again, this is not going to just have your health information, this vaccine on it. This will have everything. This will have your entire medical history. This will have all your financial history. This will have your credit history. And the goal is this will have your social credit score. Your social credit score. Which means that if you go to a website that is not deemed mainstream, that's a negative points for you. And if you participate in this activity, that's negative for you. And if you don't, if you don't have a financial credit score of 700 or 600, right? There's limitations. The same thing is said for the social credit score. If you don't do this, if you're a bad boy or a bad girl, you're going to be penalized through your social credit score. And Experian said very clearly they plan to share this with all government agencies, IRS, NSA, everything. They're just right out there now. Nobody's trying to, you're not trying to write it. 10 minutes? All right. Thank you. Next. This is a guy from Australia. Can you play that, Shane?
From a situation where, to protect the health system, we've got everybody locked down. We're going to move to a situation where, to protect the health system, we're going to lock out people who are not vaccinated and can be. If you're making the choice not to get vaccinated, then you're making the wrong choice. You're making the wrong choice. And for safety's sake, and back to that point about how much work our nurses have to do, as this becomes absolutely a pandemic of the unvaccinated and we open everything up, it's not going to be safe for people who are not vaccinated to be roaming around the place spreading the virus. That's what they'll be doing. So there's every reason.
So that, again, the facts don't seem to matter when the agenda has an alternate agenda. In other words, the facts don't matter about Delta, about spreading, about transmitting. The facts don't matter. The next slide is this is worldwide now. This is serious. This is not just one little country. This is Nigeria.
So from the second week of September, people may not be allowed to worship in churches and mosques without showing proof of their vaccination cards at the gates. Similarly, people will not be allowed to event centers for parties or receptions without showing proof of their vaccination cards at the gates of these occasions. We have made adequate arrangements with security to prevent anybody who does not have a vaccination card from accessing any of these events. Also, you will not be allowed to access banking services in Edo State from the middle of September if you have not been vaccinated.
So, banking services, that's really about public health.
Yeah.
I think that's about control. The next slide is, what's the difference between a Vax Pass and the STAR, right?
Yeah.
82 years, right? And I'm just praying that people see this. In Germany, they didn't see it. It's very hard. It's very hard to see things in real time. Very hard to see things in real time. Easy. Monday morning quarterback, easy. Should have run the sweep, easy. In real time, this is real time. This is going on right now. I just hope that people wake up and join us for freedom because they're going to turn on them.
Yeah.
It doesn't end. It doesn't end. The next, this is a safe pass. You have to have your pass to get gasoline in Cyprus. You're in the country of Cyprus. No pass, no gas. This is Walmart, Allentown Road, Lima, Ohio. Get a free digital vaccine record when you receive your COVID-19 vaccine. This is Lima, Ohio. Next is Fauci. Here you go.
I believe that mandating vaccines for children to appear in school is a good idea. And remember, Jake, this is not something new. We have mandates in many places in schools, particularly public schools.
So mandating vaccines for young school children is a good idea. So he's going to jab. He wants to jab all kids. They can't go to school. Don't forget, everyone pays for school.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not a service that is not getting paid for. So he wants to jab kids despite the fact that their mortality is about 1 in a million. you're never going to improve that mortality by jabbing with who knows what nanoparticles hydrogel. The next, this is Tony Blair, former UK